Hello everyone, are you ready to make another card? My name is Sherry Minnie. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live in the state of Colorado in a small rural town called Keensburg. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator close to 15 years and I still love everything about it. So today's card we're going to make is kind of quick and easy. I love the layout, can be used for numerous occasions, different sentiments. Could be made into a masculine card. It's just a great all-around layout for a card. And here is, I'm just doing kind of a generic wishing you a lovely day, and on the inside I put wishing you a day of relaxation, happiness, and love. And excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, it's allergy time here in the beautiful state of Colorado, at least for me. So on this one, and then we have an envelope, which is the decorated flap as usual. On this one, I actually embossed the sentiment in gold embossing powder, which is very, very pretty. It brings out the gold in the designer series paper. And then I also did one just using our, this is actually Calypso Coral, which is the color we're going to be using today in the card we're going to be making. So I kind of like this. So for the ease of the videotaping, I'm going to actually not do the embossing and just do the regular ink. So for our products we're using, which are all available if you have any interest, you can find them on my online store at sherryminnie.stampinup.net. My blog is simplylovestampin.com, and I will have this card and all the details posted later today for that. And then you can reach out to me at email at suaddicted@gmail.com. Pardon me. Let me take a quick drink here. Maybe that'll solve my issues all of a sudden. So the bundles we're using for the inside sentiment, I used Scallop Blooms. I love all the sentiments on here. You could use just this set and make your card with just one set. And here's the dies that go with it, but I'm not using any of the dies for this particular card. And then for the wishing you a lovely day, I actually used the Paradise Garden and for the sentiment. And then it comes with dies, and it actually there's two. I have to do two sheets because they're such large. This one is a really pretty background type. Flowers, leaves, more flowers, banners, and this is the one that we're going to use for our sentiment, the little, what do you call it, a hexagon? I'm not real sure. So that's what we're going to use for that. We're using 2 ink pads. We're using Calypso Coral and Pecan Pie. Pecan Pie is going to be for the sentiment on the inside. We are using, I'm going to have a blending pen that I'm going to use. This is a Calypso Coral Dark, and I just use that to kind of outline the edges of my pieces of cardstock. We're going to use this beautiful gold striped ribbon. It is just called Mesh Ribbon, and I made a little bow out of that ribbon. For embellishments, I'm so sorry. Embellishments were actually, I'm going to finish up the flower accents. I only have a few left. I don't have enough for class. This is a card that we'll be doing in class, but I'm going to use these on my card to even bring the gold out farther. This is still current, but I haven't decided if I want to order any more or not. I'll make that. But also I used, on some of my cards, I used the Pearls of Beauty. I think it's still current, but I didn't really check this one. But it has the Calypso Coral, and they're shiny and very pretty. You can also do, let's see, crumb cake if you wanted to do crumb cake, and it has white. So that's what we'll be using for our embellishments. In your packet, you're going to have a 6x6 sheet of designer series paper. This is from the Lovely Day designer series paper pack. And I'll show you how we're going to cut this down. You'll have, hold on, I got lots of pieces in here. You'll have, of course, your ribbon, your bow already tied. You have a card base. This one happens to be Calypso Coral. It is our normal 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You'll have a piece for the inside, and I think I made this. This is 3 3/4 by 5. You'll have a piece of, this is two-tone cardstock. This is actually Calypso Coral, I believe. No, it must not be. This must be, oh, this is Timid Tiger. And it, with the double-sided paper, it's got a white core in the middle, but it's darker and lighter on one side, if you can see. Try not to make you sick. So I'm going to be using the darker side on this, and then you'll have a little strip across the front. This is 3/4 of an inch by 4. Again, it's the double-sided, or double-sided cardstock, and you'll have a small piece of white to stamp your greeting on. So to get started, we're going to work on our paper, on cutting our paper, and I'm going to show you how you are going to cut your paper. The one thing you want to double check, if you have directional, you'll want to kind of keep that in mind. This one can go either way, either or. Doesn't really make that much of a difference on this particular one, but if you had one that was definitely directional, you'd want to make sure you kept that in mind as you're doing your cutting. And then let's see, we're gonna cut off. I'm going to use this side here for my envelope. So we're going to cut off 2 1/4. This is going to be for the flap of our envelope. Then you're going to turn it back, and you're going to cut off, cut this one at 5 1/4, which really means that you're going to be having, I should pull this down a little bit so maybe you can see. So you're going to really cut off 3/4 of an inch. And this is going to be, I think, if I cut it right, it looks like I didn't. Anyway, we're going to use that for our inside. Then we're going to turn this back around, and I kind of want it to go this way, I think. And we're going to cut off a piece at 2 let's see. Make sure I get this right. Okay, actually, we're going to go over here. We're going to turn it on this side, and we're going to cut 3 1/2 inch pieces. So what's going to happen, these are the pieces that you're going to flip and use the other side, and then this will be the piece that you'll have on the right side of your card, as you can see on the sample. And let's see, did I cut this right? Looks like I did. So this piece ends up being just a little over 2 right at 2 1/4. So this is our envelope. We'll get that stuck on our envelope. Whoops, almost dropped off my die there. So let's get this on our envelope first. We've done this a lot of times, so this is all kind of a refresher for you, but we'll just do it so we're making the whole complete card. So I usually just run a very thin line at the very top, getting as close to the flap as I can. Then I open it up, and I go around the edges very close to the edge, making sure I get the corners real good. And I usually put a little bit in the middle. Then I take our piece that's 2 1/4 by 6, and I just put it right below the flap. Push it down, and we're going to let that dry. Okay, I guess we'll build our front piece, and then we'll do our stamping. So on this piece of the double-sided cardstock, this is a little bit thinner than our normal cardstock, but what you're going to do is take your blend, and as you can see, the tip on this blend is shot. That's why I'm using it for these kinds of things. And we're just going to go around the edge of this we're going to go around the edge of our strip across the front. And I'm also going to do it on my inside piece. You can also tap this across your pad if you don't have a blend. It is a little tough on the tips, so I don't use it on my good blends, but I have some that have been kind of beat up from classes, and so I just use it for that. Okay, and there we go. So while we have the glue and everything out, we'll go ahead and do our front piece with all our layers of cardstocks or of designer series paper. So again, I'm going to use my liquid glue, and this is a very thin border, but I put this piece on first. Try to get it as even top, bottom, and left side as I can, and push it down. And then I'm going to take one of our strips. I hope I'm staying in camera. And I'm going to put that clear on the other edge, outside edge, and I try to judge how the top and bottom so it'll be the same. Sometimes I do a good job, sometimes I don't do such a great job. Then we'll take our next one. I do this one right next to the larger piece of designer series paper. And then the one that's remaining, I can center in the space that's in the middle. I got this layout from Mary Nabe at Stampin' Piece. She every Monday does a little simple layout, and I liked the way this one looked, and I decided to recreate it. And you can actually do it in any kind of designer series paper. I have some copper pieces, I think, scraps that I'm going to use and make it into a man's card. Okay, so now we'll put that to the side. Now we're going to do our stamping. And on the inside layer, well, I'm going to stamp first just in case I mess up. I can turn it over and then I'll put my piece on. And on the inside, we're saying, wishing you a day of relaxation, happiness, and love. Hope you all have days like that in your life. Try to get it somewhat straight and centered. There we go, not too bad. And that's really all we're using the pecan pie for, so I can put it away. Now I can take my piece that I had here for, actually I have two. Let me see which one's the longest. I guess they're both the same. Okay. And so I'm going to take, let's see. You could use either side. I'm going to use the pretty flower side, but you also could use this side. I don't want glue on here, however. And we will just stick this down to the bottom. It's a little bit long, so I'm just going to take my scissors, such as they are. It's just a smidge. then I'm going to take my blend and just do the sides of this designer series paper. Okay, and we will just put this inside while we're working on the inside. When you do edge your papers, your cardstock, you do want to let it be a little careful because it does sometimes take a little bit for it to dry. And I've gotten a few smudgy pieces because of that. Okay. This one has a nice border because it's only 3 3/4 by 5. There's our inside. Now the only other thing we have left to stamp is you can either cut this out and then stamp it, or you can stamp it and then cut it out, and I'm actually gonna just stamp it. Actually, changed my mind. I had one already cut out, so this has already been cut out. And the nice thing about the fact that we now have just photopolymer stamps is that you can see through to do your stamping. And I'm just going to try and get this as straight as I can. Not too bad. Could be a little straighter, but you know what? We're going with it. Okay, now we can just start to put everything together. So we'll take our our first layer on our front. I keep doing that, and I don't like to get adhesive on my little foamy mat because that makes it sticky. Okay, and this is going to go on the front. Make sure if you put the inside in first, make sure that you have the right piece for the front. You might be able to figure out how to know that. Nothing more frustrating. You have your card all done and you realize, oh no, I have part of it in the wrong place. Okay, and then we're going to do this. Put it right down. This is actually an extra. Then we're going to take our strip, and actually I popped this up on dimensionals, of which I think I have enough here. Let's see. I'll just use this whole strip. Take off the backing. Now, so that you have enough room for your greeting, I moved this up about probably top third, up about a third of the way, not quite a half. And I'm just going to stick that on there like so. And for this one, since this is popped up, I want this to be the same level. So I am going to put some mini dimensionals. Make sure I'm getting it on the right end. Just at the top corners and the bottom corners. That way this will be the same height as the strip across the front of our card. We'll take the backings off. These in the trash. I have them all over. I don't like them all over my house. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glue and just put across the middle to hold it on the strip that's on the front. You place it wherever you want. I kind of lapped it over a little bit. I made sure that my points hopefully are in the middle of my strip. And there's that. And then the only other, well, there's two other things we have to do, because I realized on my previous video I totally spaced out doing the embellishments, and I have a habit of doing that. So I have a big note in front of me, remember embellishments, because I don't know why I do that. But I sure did on that one. We're going to take our bow. And we're going to put a glue dot. Actually, I'm going to scrunch it up just a little bit. And then it sticks to my finger. And we're going to stick this right down. Sometimes you could fiddle with bows for hours to get them to go the right direction. And I'm going to kind of angle my ends here. Okay, and then I'll try not to forget the embellishments on this one. So I'm going to put one up here, one down a little bit, and then let's see, I think I'll put one, you know what, I think I'll put one right here on my thing. We might do 5 since I'm trying to use these up. Where should we put some more? One up here. One down here. There's 5. And there we are. Now the only other thing we have left to do is very quickly trim off our designer series paper on our envelope. A 2 1/4 by 6 inch piece really is the perfect size for your envelope flaps. You don't have a great deal of waste when you do it that size. Okay. So here's the card that we just completed. Here's the card that I had. The only difference in this card is I have used gold embossing powder on the sentiment. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this card. I know I'm running a little bit late. I don't know. I guess because I took time to show you how to cut the paper. Anyway, I hope you all know how much I appreciate anytime you choose to view my videos, whether it's in the daytime or the evening. Each and every view is deeply, deeply appreciated. And may God bless each and every one of you. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.